There's a whole new vibe in Indiana. Sunday afternoon at the Fever's practice facility didn't just mark the start of the 2025 WNBA season, it felt like the beginning of something way bigger. With a revamped front office, a reloaded roster, and a familiar but fresh voice leading the way in head coach Stephanie White, Indiana's first official practice wasn't just a box to check. It sent a message. This team is ready to turn the page. The energy was so high, said a smiling Aliyah Boston after wrapping up practice. Now in her third year with the Fever, Boston could feel the difference immediately. It was just super fun, great energy all around, and we're making a lot of shots. But it wasn't just the pace of practice or the made buckets that had the building buzzing. It was something bigger, the expectations. And make no mistake, they're sky high, and with good reason. Of the 15 players on Indiana's training camp roster, only 5 are familiar faces: Aliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and Damiris Dantas. Everyone else? Brand new energy, from battle-tested vets like DeWanna Bonner and Natasha Howard to fresh sparks like Brianna Turner and Sophie Cunningham. It's not just a different lineup, it's a different mindset. Gone are the days of slow, steady rebuilds. Indiana's new front office, with President Kelly Krauskopf and General Manager Amber Cox steering the ship, made it crystal clear this offseason. The Fever are done waiting. They're here to win. Now, we prioritize players with championship experience, Krauskopf said earlier this year. And you can see it all over the roster. 3 WNBA titles combined between Bonner and Howard, miles of playoff experience, and voices that know how to steer a locker room when the stakes get real. Now, it's on Stephanie White, back in Indiana after a successful run with the Connecticut Sun, to take all this talent and mold it into something even bigger, a true championship contender.
Fourth fastest pace of play, and that suits Caitlin Clark.
When Stephanie White blew the whistle to kick off her first practice back with the Fever, it was clear this wasn't going to be some slow warm-up. No easing in, no hand-holding, just pure urgency. Right from the jump, it was fast-paced drills, a sharp defensive focus, and constant high-energy communication. Practices under White aren't for the faint of heart, and it didn't take long for the players to figure that out. If you only knew how many text messages I got the night before asking, "What's practice with Steph gonna be like?" DeWanna Bonner said, laughing. Bonner, who played under White in Connecticut, knew exactly what was coming. Even so, she couldn't help but be impressed by how locked in this group showed up on day one. White's message to the team was simple and direct: defense wins championships. And it's no secret that defense has been the Fever's Achilles heel. Indiana finished 11th out of 12 teams in defensive efficiency the past 2 seasons. Meanwhile, White's squads in Connecticut, consistently among the WNBA's best on that end of the floor. She told us straight up, being 11th in defense last year isn't going to cut it, Bonner said. We know we've got to be better. I'm not saying we have to be the best defensive team, but it'd be nice. If day one was any clue, under White's watch, defensive toughness won't just be expected, it'll be non-negotiable. And then, of course, there's Caitlin Clark. Fresh off a Rookie of the Year season where she put up 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game, Clark didn't waste a second reminding everyone she's not just back, she's ready to level up from star to full-blown superstar. During Sunday's practice, it didn't take long for Clark's signature deep threes to light up the gym and set social media on fire. In a clip shared by Indy Star's Chloe Peterson, Clark casually pulled up from way downtown and drilled a long-range bomb, the sound of rapid camera shutters clicking like popcorn in the background. "I've missed this," one fan shouted online, echoing what just about every Fever fan was feeling. Clark's range isn't just a show for the crowd, it changes the geometry of the floor. When defenses are forced to guard 30 feet from the hoop, it creates all kinds of space for players like Aliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and DeWanna Bonner to get busy. And with Indiana adding even more experienced shooters and smart cutters this offseason, Stephanie White's system is set to give Clark even more room to operate, whether she's splashing threes or slicing defenses apart with her playmaking. "Listen to those cameras shudder," another fan joked after seeing the clip. Safe to say, Fever fans, and honestly, the whole WNBA, are bracing for the next chapter of the Caitlin Clark show. While the Fever brought in a ton of new faces this offseason, the heartbeat of their championship hopes might still come down to one thing: the duo of Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston. Last year was their first ride together, and yeah, there were some bumps, mistimed passes, misreads, rookie growing pains that any young core goes through. But when it clicked, it was flat out devastating. Now, heading into year 2, the connection between Clark and Boston looks smoother, sharper, and a whole lot scarier. "I think it's going to be better for both of us," Boston said, flashing a confident smile. Last year, obviously, at the beginning of the season, it was a little rough just trying to figure out that play. But now, we know exactly how we like to play. Boston, who averaged 14.0 points, 8.9 rebounds, and 3.2 assists last season, looks primed for a monster year. With Clark feeding her those pinpoint entry passes and pulling defenders out to the three-point line with her deep range, Boston is going to see a lot more one-on-one matchups down low. And for opposing defenses, that's a nightmare. Clark, for her part, didn't just fill up the scoring column last year. She led the entire WNBA in assists per game as a rookie, a testament to her ridiculous court vision and Boston's steady presence inside. What once felt like a chemistry experiment is now shaping up to be one of the deadliest guard post combos in the league. And they're only just getting started. Lost in all the noise surrounding Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston is another name that deserves way more love: Kelsey Mitchell. One of the purest scorers in the WNBA, Mitchell quietly averaged over 16 points per game last season, and she made it look effortless. Lethal from deep, deadly off the bounce, fearless when the game is on the line. And under Stephanie White's new system, Mitchell could be in for a breakout year of her own. With Clark's insane shooting range pulling defenders out to half court and Boston commanding double teams down low, Mitchell's going to feast on a lot of broken defenses. Expect her to thrive as a secondary creator, blowing by scrambled closeouts and punishing opponents who dare to leave her open. If Mitchell stays healthy and everything clicks the way it's starting to look in camp, don't be surprised if her efficiency numbers skyrocket this season. And if that happens, the Fever won't just have a dynamic duo. They'll have a legitimate big three that can hang with any powerhouse in the WNBA. DeWanna Bonner? She's not just buckets and boards, she's pure competitive fire, the kind that sets a tone the moment she steps on the floor. Natasha Howard? A walking blueprint for championship toughness, able to guard every spot on the court and bring an edge Indiana desperately needed. Sophie Cunningham? She's the grit, the attitude, and the spacing from the wing that every title team needs to survive the grind. And then there's Sydney Colson. Maybe she won't light up the box score every night, but make no mistake, her voice, her leadership, and her championship DNA could end up being just as valuable. Because the truth is, every contender needs players who know how to win ugly games in July and grind out playoff wars in September. Now, after years of chasing potential, Indiana finally has those players and that mentality in the building. The countdown is officially on. The Fever's 2025 season tips off with a can't-miss showdown: Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky on May 17th, a matchup that already feels like appointment viewing. After a 2020 campaign last year, just making the playoffs isn't the goal anymore. This team expects more, demands more. With Clark opening the season as the early MVP favorite, plus 200 odds at FanDuel, Aliyah Boston ready to make a serious all-WNBA push, and seasoned vets like Bonner and Howard keeping the locker room steady, Indiana isn't just talking about postseason basketball, they're talking about raising banners. Of course, the road won't be easy. The Las Vegas Aces are still a juggernaut. The New York Liberty are loaded. The W is stacked. But if day one of training camp showed anything, it's this. The Indiana Fever are coming. Fast, fearless, hungry, and with Stephanie White pushing the pedal to the floor, they just might blow right past everyone's expectations.